Today I'm here to present the theory that the most prolific pedophile in modern history, Jeffrey Epstein, and his circle of Satanists are directly connected to one of the cases that has most shaken Mexico. The women found dead or missing in Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico. Is it connected to Jeffrey Epstein's circle? So, I invite you to join me. In the next few minutes, I'll present to you the most difficult investigation I've done in my career as a content creator. Jeffrey Epstein was involved in the Juárez murders. In this horrible place in Mexico, Americans came looking for girls for sex. Afterwards, those underage girls disappeared. Some bodies were found, some were not. And my theory is that the people who came here were from Jeffrey Epstein's circle. Some documents and evidence I have point to that. So I came to do my investigation. Let's connect the dots and let's find that missing link that connects both crimes. Let's start with the main character, this disgusting pedophile protected by Trump, Biden, Obama, and so on. He had an addiction to intimate contact with boys and girls, and since he was a millionaire, he could indulge himself. To protect himself, he would invite the most powerful people in the world to his islands, ranches, mansions, or properties to do the same thing, abuse children. Jeffrey Epstein recorded them, and that gave him leverage over them. They were under serious threat. If you turn me in, then I'll take you down with me. Then we have the case known as the Juárez murders, where thousands of girls were found dead or were never found in this border city of Mexico, right next to the United States. Here is where the coincidences begin. In fact, one of Epstein's ranches, where many children disappeared, is very close to here. But geographical proximity by itself is not evidence. I need something concrete. So I'll start my search here at the infamous Hotel Verde, a place where for years rich Americans came looking for young girls. Could one of those Americans who came here be Jeffrey Epstein? Let's start with our first witness, who worked here for years.
I used to deliver liquor there when it was the Hotel Verde. There were a lot of girls, and most of them were found dead.
Roughly how many disappeared?
No, they lost count because many were already found dead and others were never found.
Of those clients who came looking for young girls, the ones they call cherries,
Where did they come from?
Most of them were from the United States. Most customers were Americans. They were the ones who could pay in dollars.
tell me if you recognize him, if you ever saw him here among the customers who came looking for young girls. Let's see if by any chance he looks familiar to you, even just a little.
Yes, he does look a little familiar to me. Yes, I think he came and went to several places, and everywhere he went, he took pictures with the girls. But he was a customer who came often. The customer has been...
And bingo, now we have a witness. See how by asking questions you find everything. Finally, we can strengthen the theory. This doesn't surprise me. We have a rich gringo with an insatiable thirst for young girls, surrounded by his friends with the same perverse habits, rich and filthy. In the neighboring country, Mexico, there are many young girls, many of them looking for opportunities or with parents who are working all day. This country doesn't have a strong or even existing forensic investigative body. That is to say, the girls on this side of the border are completely unprotected. It's close for them with no risks, no consequences. This connection between the Epstein case and the missing girls of Juárez is obvious from miles away. It's obvious. You don't need to be a genius to connect the dots here. Even so, I need more solid evidence, which I can't get on my own. I need a lot of help here. The right person is my friend from Juárez who's traveled the world. Check out his channel when you have time. Let's see if the two of us can find the evidence we're missing here. We're going to get to work. That's the work of an investigative journalist. The next lead is the United States Consulate, which is reported to have ties to the pedophiles who came to our country to commit their atrocities. They met, knew each other, or were the same people. Let's see if there's anything there. And here we are at the United States Consulate. Look at the American flag. This really does look like the United States. The streets are clean, nice, well mopped, well patched, well swept, well trimmed, well taken care of. Here, yes. Well, the agents who arrived at this consulate organized some parties. Party? That's not a party. It's a crime scene. It's a criminal act. It's not a party. Well, they organized them back here. I'm going to go there right now. Well, they kicked us out here. They told us we couldn't record, the same Mexican police, because it's US property. So Mexican authorities on Mexican territory already tell you what to do, where you can record, all for the benefit of the United States. Well, let's go. Let's continue. According to the records, Epstein himself came. And in one of these houses in this neighborhood that's behind the consulate, the US ambassador to Mexico, in 2014 he abused and impregnated an 11-year-old girl. 11. This couldn't have been an isolated event. It must have happened several times. And he brought girls from several countries to Mexico. That is, the girls they couldn't get into the United States, well, they used and discarded them here. Mexico was like the garage, less security, less screening for these sick people. It's easier to bring in stolen children from around the world here than into the United States. That's why they chose Juárez. It's a strategic location. They would just go down to the playground. A quick little trip. No consequences. The only person who faced consequences was someone named Reza Nissan. But he died under suspicious circumstances in a Mexican prison before he could turn in his accomplices. They took him out to silence him. And the documents in the Epstein files that talk about this have the names and addresses blacked out. We can't see the names. We could be standing in front of the house, but we wouldn't know. And this is my conclusion here. Epstein and his super pedophile friends needed girls, and a lot of them they recruited in the United States, yes. And they committed their atrocities there, yes, but they still needed more. They needed it on a massive scale for their accomplices, their allies, their trainees. And in the United States, it was simply too risky. In the United States, they could get away with it, steal 1 or 2 a week, and they were protected, but not 10, 20, 30. So to kidnap so many in such massive numbers, Mexico offered them the solution, the perfect circumstances in the neighboring country. Look, it's very close. That's why Ciudad Juárez became the training ground for the newcomers, their testing lab, their cheapest getaway with less risk, their playground with more freedom. And that's why I need some congressmen from the United States to see this video and help me, because they have access to the Epstein files without the addresses being blocked. They can see the document just as it is. And if there are names of officials, names of people from the consulate, addresses in these Mexican neighborhoods, names of where they dumped the bodies, well, they're in the Epstein files that I can't see. And what kind of girl would disappear?
Well, the characteristic of most of those who were found dead or who disappeared was that they were very young, slim, and pretty short. They never found any overweight girls. And I think that was the common denominator. Why? Well, so they could take them somewhere. They didn't have much trouble because they were thin.
In self-defense?
Yes, well, they couldn't defend themselves, so that's why I think they chose that type.
It says here, not one more, not one more, not one more. But this place, despite everything that happened here, there hasn't been a single arrest. Just looking at this place from the outside gives you a bad feeling. I mean, from the moment you see it, it has a heavy vibe here. Can you see the address? Type this address into the Epstein files search and you'll see that all the documents that come up are blocked. They have that black bar. Look, there it is. That door is open. So, in theory, I could go in there. Let's look through the window here. Look, oh man, it feels awful in here. That's the bar that Don Jose was telling us about. Look, they've already closed down the building. Here we have more crosses. More names of missing girls. Some photographs.
It was secured by what was then the PGR. So you have them there at the doors? And because a lot of people wanted to go in and see, for example, the mothers of the missing girls wanted to go in. They wanted to go in and investigate for themselves. Personally, to search the floor and the walls.
Memorial for the victims of femicide at Campo Algodonero. Well, this used to be a cotton field, and these were the outskirts of the city, and here is where they found the bodies. On November 6th and 7th, 2001, in this place, at this memorial, the lifeless bodies of 8 women and girls were found. One of them was unidentified. Just look at the faces of the girls. They're girls. Look at these young girls. She's the only one whose age is listed. It says 19 years old, and she's the one who looks a bit older. The other girls, yes, a symbolic cemetery. The ironic thing is that this park, this symbolic commemorative cemetery, is just a few steps away from the United States Consulate, where these parties were held, which people from Epstein's circle attended. Do you see how many names there are on each cross? Do you see? And see how many crosses there are. Each name represents a family, a mother, a father in eternal agony, permanent. Their mind will never rest, never. I mean, yes, we all want more parks and public spaces to be built, but not like this. Idly, Lupita, Monica, Brenda, not one more. You can even see photographs. And here is the Cruz Grande, the large pink cross, which represents all the girls. And this whole park is full of pink crosses. And I'm not saying that Mexicans had nothing to do with this. I'm not here to tell you that no sick Mexican made these girls disappear, or that Mexican femicide perpetrators have nothing to do with it. Of course they did, but it was together, they're allied, they had something to do with it. If you read the conclusions of the Mexican criminologists who have studied this phenomenon of the missing girls from Juárez, you'll find that most of them conclude that this was about power. The people in Mexico had so much power that they took it out on the girls. Once you have so much money, the only thing that satisfies you is experiences. If you can already buy everything, you can go to any country you want, eat whatever you want, then the only thing that satisfies you is experiences. Like inflicting pain and suffering on innocent beings like boys and girls for political power, criminal power, power in general. Power in general was the reason why the Mexicans involved in this committed it. Now, if Epstein's people were also powerful and ruthless and did this for fun, then did they know their allies on this side of the border? If you're an enthusiast of any sport or activity and you go to another country, do you know the community in that country that enjoys doing what you do? Horseback riding, archery, art, whatever it is? YouTubers know each other, just like that. In the same way, these sick, ruthless, rich, and powerful people knew each other. And I find it very hard to believe that Epstein and his circle could have come here to Mexico to use young girls, as if they hadn't had the approval, knowledge, or support of the local depraved people who were dedicated to doing the same thing. And among these ruthless perverts preying on children were also the Mexican authorities. And I'm not talking about the municipal police officer in his patrol car, I'm talking about the people at the very top. It's impossible that the directors, rectors, or the people at the very top in Mexico didn't know that American pedophiles were coming in to make children disappear. Girls saw it and they ignored it for some reason, because they do it too, because they received money from Epstein. Or who knows why, but it's unacceptable. And that's why I'm making this video. Does anyone who's going to watch know anything? Does anyone know a name, an email address, an event, a place? Does anyone know anything? Help us find that link between these missing girls here in Juárez and the people in the circle of Jeffrey Epstein, the most prolific girl stealing pedophile in modern history.